Hi, I'm Boone. This is Boone's Slot Car Garage. And tonight, well, I'm going to show you guys my layout. It's not all the way done, but I figure, we might as well do a video on what we got going on, and I can show you guys what we're going to be doing in the future. All right? So let's do this. All right, so why don't I start telling you guys about our layout? Well, I run Scalextric track, 1/32 scale, and it's a combination of digital and sport track. I run the Arc Pro digital system from Scalextric. Real cool, has wireless controllers, everything else, and I can run up to 6 cars on the track at one time. The track itself is split into 2 different levels. So I have a lower table and I have an upper table. And one of the reasons why I did that is so that it would fit inside the garage when it went up, and when I put the garage door, I had to have the upper level up a little bit so the garage door, you know, could go up underneath it and you could still use the garage. So the upper level itself is 5.5 feet long by 7.5 feet wide. And the lower table, which we've been doing a majority of our videos, has been with the lower table. This little guy down here is 9.5 feet long by 8 feet wide. And this table itself, you can see out on this portion, but it actually wraps up underneath as well. And I'll show you guys that here in a little bit. The track has around 30 corners to it. I have 3 lane changes at this time. I'm going to put some more in eventually. And I have 1 pit lane. Now, everything that you see on the layout, I've pretty much built everything from scratch except for a couple little things. I have an old bulldozer that's up on the upper level, and it's up there because everything's still in construction. And so I've got that. I have track figures that I haven't made, and I also have a Miller engineering sign, which is over on the side, and those things are really cool. So, but pretty much everything else you see, in the track, I didn't make the track, but everything else you see is built from scratch. So when we come back, I'll start pointing out some of the other finer details of the track. Okay, so let's kind of get to some of the buildings and stuff on the layout. Now, when I built this layout, I wanted some buildings of the tracks that are no longer around, or certain things that were real iconic from the past. And so let's go on down and I'll kind of show you some odds and ends of what I built. Now, first off was we have the Esso Man, and he came from Le Mans, is where I saw it. You know, I don't know if this guy is still there at the track anymore, but I always thought it was really, really cool. So I had to have an Esso guy. The next thing is this Dunlop bridge, and I built that, and this is actually modeled after Donington Park, and it's the old Dunlop bridge that actually has the tire right here with the tread and everything else. So I thought that was a really cool tire bridge to do. Next up would be the tower that I have, and I renamed it Deception Raceways Tower. But this tower is modeled after the tower that was at the Riverside Raceways in California. And kind of a cool story behind the actual tower. You might want to look into that. But the tower is no longer there. They tore it all down. So I thought the tower was pretty iconic, so I wanted to have that on my layout as well. And then if we come down to my pit lane, the pit lane is modeled after the pit lane that was in Targa, Florida. And I had to change it up a little bit to make it work, but I think it represents that old pit lane in Sicily quite well. So that's kind of the way I've been going, is putting bits and pieces together of tracks that are no longer around. And I thought that was kind of a cool way of doing things, kind of taking the best of certain areas and bringing it onto my layout. If these pit lane and tower and Dunlop Bridge and the Esso guy, I do plan on doing videos on these guys in the future. Esso guy especially, probably go through another Dunlop Bridge. I don't know if it's going to be this one, and I might do the old Dunlop Bridge from the 70s that was at Le Mans. Leave a comment, you know, say, hey Boone, why don't you build this? And you know, hey, maybe we can make a video on that. So when we come back, I'll go through a little bit more of the layout, and we'll go underneath, and I'll show you what you can't see from the outside. Okay, so we're up underneath the layout here, and this area goes about 3 feet or so underneath the upper table. And just kind of wanted to show you this down here. You know, you have all the different rock formations and whatnot. You know, you can see the brickwork from the backside, and it still needs bushes. I still need to put in a couple trees and whatnot, but I can't get too much in here because I won't be able to marshal the track. So this is something I've just been kind of chipping away at, figuring out how I'm gonna do certain stuff back here. But yeah, this is the underside of the layout. So we'll go on the other side and I'll show you some of the tunnels. All right, so now we're on the other side of the table, and I'll show you what's going on over here. So unfortunately, when we started doing these videos, I had already had this stuff was already established. So you guys really didn't get to see what it took to build this. But at least I can show you guys in pictures, right? So what we got is, this is all polystyrene right here, our brick that I did. Goes up underneath, and you can, you know, pretty much check it out. It looks pretty cool. I mean, the way that it shoots through the track, and it's neat because it's open enough that if a car does wipe out, I mean, you can reach in and grab it. This track isn't one that you would want to have if you were going to have regular, you know, races at your house with all your buddies. This is a little bit more of a user-friendly type of thing because how complicated it is with different levels and whatnot. But it is visual. It's really cool to look at, and it's fun to watch the cars go around it as well. So here's this area through here, and if we come up a little bit, this area is in 3 different levels. We have this lower level, we have this middle, and then the upper. And if we come up to the second one here, where it goes inside the wall, down inside here, and if you get a look down in there, you can see how it all looks inside. And I wanted to make sure that when it went into a tunnel, that it had rocks in the inside of the tunnel as well. I just, you know, thought, what the heck, we got to make it cool looking. So that's the inside of that, and we come back, we'll start going through some of the other stuff on the outside of the track. So we're on the upper table now, and this area, again, this was done prior to any of the videos that I had made. The actual layout up here on top is done with polystyrene board, and there is some expandable foam as well. All the rock formations are expandable foam. This middle section through here was done with expanding foam. This hill right here, which goes over the top of the tunnel on the hill, which I'll show you guys in a little bit, that was all done with expanding foam. The one thing that I do plan on doing in the future, or making a video on, is in this area over here where the bulldozer is at, right up on top, between these 2 pulleys, is this little area right up here, and I'd like to do a water feature in that area. I'm restricted on height because of the ceiling when I put the track away. So what I'm kind of tinkering with is taking out some drywall in the ceiling and relocating my ceiling height so I can get some trees up here, because the trees really make the layout. So yeah, so there we go. We've got some billboards, which I'd like to do a future video on billboards, a couple of Marshall huts, and when we come back, we'll be on the other side over here, and I'll show you the hill. All right, so we're on the other side, and I'll show you guys the hill on this side and the tunnel that was built. Again, unfortunately, some of this stuff was done before we started any videos. So here's the tunnel, and it's done on the inside and the outside, and this is polystyrene board, and it's kind of a cool feature, because when the cars actually come down, if you're running without magnets, they will actually go airborne going down the hill. And when they're coming up on the rise right up in this area of the hill, they'll actually get airborne in this section as well. One of the other things is I have my countdown as far as the numbers here going into the corner, and the shit comes from a track that when I was a kid, my father raced, and there was a track out there on the back side away from any of the spectators, and it was on a straightaway, and it went down to, you know, 3, 2, 1 shit, and shit was, you're too deep and you're going off. So I thought that was kind of a neat thing to put on there as well, and my dad got a kick out of it. So when we come back, we'll go over the lower table. Okay, so we're back down here on the lower part of the layout. And before we go any further, every track needs a name, right? So I named this Deception Raceways. And the reason behind that is two things. First, I live in Washington State, and I live in an area called Woodby Island up here. And part of the island you can get on over a bridge, and the other portion you have to take a boat. But on the area that you come over on the bridge is an area called Deception Pass, and it's some of the most treacherous waters up here in the Pacific Northwest. And I thought the track is kind of treacherous, so I think Deception was a good name for the track. But if we go over some of the stuff down here on the lower, and this is the area we've done a majority of our filming on, and you guys haven't seen it since it's had a bunch of vegetation and everything else put onto it. So if we look down in here, this section through here where we did the cobblestone, we put in some trees, we put in some bushes, I've got my guardrail all up there, and you know, we complete with some hay bales in there as well. So you know, it kind of gives you an idea of what it will look like once you get everything filled in on your layout. And these are also items that we can make future videos on as well, as far as bushes and flowers. Everything again is all scratch built. So you know, it really starts to come together when you start putting different vegetation on your stuff. The center section over here where the tower and stuff's at, it's still some areas in there that still need work, you know. And those are for future videos to come. We still have a lot of stuff to do just in this area. And there's some areas that I might actually be taking away from and redoing just because I'm coming up with different ideas. So what I like to do now is we'll go ahead and show some cars run around on our layout. go. We got a video out of the layout. And if you guys can think of anything, an upcoming video, post it in the notes, comments, and we can address that later on. So, and again, I was able to get my daughter to come out here and take her pink Lamborghini out for a few hot laps, as long as I turn the lights on to pink. But hey, I have someone to play with, right? It's all good. So I hope you like it. If you like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. And next time on Boone Slot Car Garage, you know what? We'll figure it out when we get there. All right? See you guys later.